everyone, I'm Becky, and these are Inglorious Reviews. Well, this week we're going to sink our teeth into Arrow 311 Midnight City. So, I know in last week's episode I was very harsh on the idea of Laurel becoming the Canary. I know it's canon in comics, but I've always found this Laurel to be kind of annoying, and she's very inexperienced and annoying. But after this episode, I'm kind of on board with the idea of her becoming the Canary. I think with time it could work out. What brought me to this change of heart, you might ask? Well, putting her up next to Roy. Now, I know on this show I really do like to lay into Roy, just because it's fun, but it's not really from a place of malice. I love Roy, but it's easy. So one thing that has constantly really gotten on my nerves on this show is really, both Flash and Arrow, very nice feminist shows that have lots of really strong, intelligent, independent female characters who don't let other people tell them what to do, and it's great. But from season 1 to present day, there has been this problem where this show just loves to have all the men in Laurel's life belittle and infantilize and talk down and lecture her, and it just drives me nuts, the way Laurel is treated sometimes. So to have Roy, 19-year-old, I spent most of last season in a Mirakuru coma, former juvenile delinquent Roy, say to Laurel, well, my being a vigilante is different than your being a vigilante because I have had months, all of months, being trained by the Arrow, and I had years on the streets beforehand. And when he said that, I was like, oh yes, the streets, the mean streets of the glades where you face down those muggers all of 2 times. It's just, when you put Laurel next to Roy, they really aren't that different. And I started thinking about that, and that's what really, got me on the train to being okay with Laurel doing this, because Laurel has been in all kinds of dangerous situations, like, season 1, to present day, being a part of the that pro bono law place out in the Glades, and then in the DA's office. She's been in tons of dangerous situations where she's had to defend herself, and she's done pretty well. I mean, there were plenty of times where, she's fought a guy, and she mentioned before, like, how her dad had her in all kinds of female self-defense classes growing up. Like, I would say, like, comparing, years of, self-defense classes and, all the different dangerous situations as adults compared to, just Roy saying, well, I'm on the street, I've been on the streets for years. I think, they're not that different, except, Roy's, really likes to fight or whatever, and he's muscular, but, she's been working out, whatever. But Roy, and it's really weird because, well, Roy hasn't really done much all season. He won, like, one fight during that special standout episode in the beginning of the season where he thought it was, like, Laurel's killer, but every other time this season, if you go back and watch all the fights, he's been, like, incapacitated or tranquilized or something, while Oliver and Diggle have the actual fights. So, when you put up those two against each other, there's not really much of a difference between them, except that Roy has clocked more field time. I don't know. I think with time, maybe Laurel could, come up to par. I mean, really, Roy has done more for the Arrow team in these last 2 episodes than he has all season, which has been kind of ridiculous. But, yeah. Well, speaking of Roy, let's talk about Roy. He's really stepping up this... I don't know, it's just so comical to me how much more he's doing in these first 2 episodes compared to, the last half of the season. It's just a little bit silly, but, no, I mean, it's nice to see him stepping up and doing more things. It's been kind of weird that, they went through so much work to put him on the team and then haven't done anything with him, really. But, he's really stepped up, I think, Oliver's disappearance really made him realize, he's one of the last lines of defense, and he's really stepped up, and he's helped. He goes and confronts Malcolm Merlyn, even though Malcolm is so ridiculously out of his league. But he does, the things he says to Thea, and which are true, the things he says about Thea, like, she is going to find out what happened. She cannot be fooled for long, and you will suffer the consequences of losing her, like I did. Because, that is what happened to Roy. He kept secrets from her for the, her own sake, supposedly. And, yeah, and he lost her. And I think, Malcolm kind of realized that he was facing that same sort of danger, and it changed his, he had to change tactics, which, it's really, kind of impressive that he was able to, force Malcolm Merlin to rethink his battle plans or his strategies in any case. So it's been nice kind of seeing Roy get to do a little bit more this time. Not much interaction with Thea. So, okay, so this is something I was thinking about. Thea knows that Malcolm's alive. Thea knows that Roy knows the arrow. So, would Thea make the connection that Roy knows that Malcolm's alive? You would think she might realize that Roy might know that Malcolm's alive, and you'd think, and maybe they'll address this later, but Malcolm, okay, in season 1, I guess I'm going off a bit of a tangent here. In season 1, at the end of season 1, when Thea found out that her mom was a part of the undertaking and the Glades, the whole thing were happening, she was so angry at her mother and refused to talk to her months for being a part of the undertaking. That almost killed Roy. Roy almost died, in the Glades, and he almost got, and he could have died helping all those people escape from the Glades earthquake. And she was so mad at her for that. So you'd think maybe, there would be something where she would acknowledge Malcolm and acknowledge, really that Malcolm was responsible for the undertaking. Like, she knows intellectually that that Malcolm was responsible for the undertaking, but I don't think it's really, hit her. At least she doesn't want to think about it. Because, the feelings she had for Roy and the things she witnessed, being with Roy, and because she probably witnessed firsthand, because she was living in the Glades for a while, she probably witnessed firsthand the Glades trying to rebuild itself after what Malcolm did. And she never talks about that. There's never a point where she thinks, well, he almost killed, he wanted Roy dead. He wanted Roy and everyone like him dead, just for living in that block, just for being, poor. And I just feel like maybe she is just not hitting her what kind of person Malcolm is and what he did. So I wonder if Roy maybe will call her on that later on, because it just seems like intellectually it just really isn't hitting her the magnitude of who Malcolm is and the things he does. I think she just is focusing on her feelings about him being her father and how much she wants family, but it isn't really hitting her what kind of person that man is, her father is. So I don't know. Seems like it was really weird because this first half of the season had so many loose tangents just weaving in and out. There was they really should have figured out what they wanted to do and really tightened it up. They had all these great ideas and all these great plots going around, but they weren't very tightly wound together. And so the Thea and Malcolm thing would, something would happen in one episode, and 4 episodes later, then again something would happen, and we just drop it. And I remember the Flash episode, there was a, we saw Thea coming out or talking to herself, and I was like, oh, Thea's here. She hasn't been around in a while. So hopefully they kind of realize that and they're trying to tighten things up now, because now it looks like it's going full speed ahead, which I'm really glad about. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Thea cannot take on the League of Assassins. Thea cannot take on Ra's al Ghul. But I'm curious to see how that'll wind out. I've been wondering this last season if they won't really do something to force Thea to go seriously dark. I was wondering for a while if maybe they were going to kill off Roy, but maybe they aren't now. Or they probably were never even planning to. But I'm really curious to see where Thea goes, because she's at this point where Malcolm, Oliver's gone, or has been gone. Well, she doesn't really know that. So now Malcolm's the only one really around to influence her, unless Roy, really, gets in there and tries to, let her know everything that's going on. Why the heck? Okay. Malcolm drugged her. Malcolm drugged Thea and got her to kill someone. why the heck? I mean, I know Oliver's gone, but Roy and Felicity and Dickel, like, none of them would think, oh, gee, maybe we should tell Thea what's going on here, tell her what happened to her, so, because Malcolm still has access to her and could drug her and have her do something else again, maybe we should tell her what's going on and get her away from him, so something like this doesn't happen again, or he doesn't do something. Oh my gosh, like, everyone's just so content, like, I guess maybe it's only been like about a week since, they all find out about us, but no one would be like, okay, let's get Thea away from him now, because now we know the sort of things he's willing to do to Thea, because the only reason that Malcolm was being kept alive was because it seemed like he really cared about Thea and did want her to be safe, and Oliver thought, she could use a little family, someone, because it seemed like he really was interested in protecting Thea. But now we know he's completely willing to risk Thea getting killed to protect himself. So pull her away from him. Tell her the truth. Oh my goodness. Maybe Oliver will do that when he gets back. I don't know. But, like, Roy wouldn't be like, she needs to get known now. She needs to get out of that apartment now and somewhere where Malcolm can't find her. But oh my goodness. Like, so much withholding information from Thea, and it always, you would think, because Roy learned this lesson at the end of season 2, don't withhold information from Thea, because she will find out and you will lose her. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. It should be an interesting next few episodes when Oliver gets back to the city. Yeah, so let's talk about Oliver. Interesting flashbacks. I kind of wondered if maybe the flashbacks would wrap up this week, because I thought maybe this would be the big finale, because this was around the, well, no, I guess it was like 1:15 when Slade returned. I think that was 2:15 when Slade returned. I think that was the number episode. But that was around the time that the flashbacks last season, they wrapped up and everyone came back in the characters appeared in real time. So I guess, yeah, we probably still have to do 1 or 2 episodes left. Man, it was really interesting seeing these flashbacks. Oh my gosh. Maceo. I don't know. I mean, the show really does talk about the importance of family. And, like, I feel like this episode kind of made it seem like it was a good thing that Maceo was like, yeah, I don't care if 100,000 people would have died if it kept my family safe. And it doesn't make him a good guy. It isn't. Like, that's the same justification Warrior Queen had. It doesn't matter if 500 people die in the Glades if my 2 children, get to live their nice lifestyle in this mansion and, be safe from Merlin or whatever. That, screw all you guys. My 2 kids are more important than, an entire district full of people dying. And it was kind of the same, it's kind of Maceo's justification. It sounds good to be willing to do anything for your family, but when anything with your family, it comes at the cost of other people's lives, you're not the good guy. You're selfish. You're the bad guy when other people's lives, matter more than, when, what you want or whatever. I didn't like that. I mean, of course, Maceo joined the League of Assassins after that. I mean, they're totally fine with killing up, thousands of people if it means their code is followed. So I found it really interesting, the relationship that Tatsu and Maceo, I guess they're divorced or they're separated. They're still being really shadowy about it, because the flashbacks aren't finished yet. I'm guessing because they don't talk about their son at all. The son probably died in whatever resulted from this week's, issues with Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller sucks. By the way, that's obligatory Amanda Waller sucks statement of this episode. So I'm guessing their son died and they either couldn't handle the grief and he felt guilty. Maceo felt guilty about his son's death. So he left his wife and joined the League of Assassins because he just couldn't handle it. So I guess they're divorced or separated. Yeah, which is too bad. I don't know, maybe we'll get together by the end of the season, who knows. But it was nice seeing that, they were both willing to come together to help Oliver. And that was nice. I guess he really did them a solid, and way back when Hong Kong, whatever happens. Well, I guess we saw what he did. He helped them rescue Tatsu from China White. Um, yeah, and Oliver's back, and Maseo is returning to the League of Assassins, which is too bad. Maybe, I'm sure maybe he'll show back up. I'd like to see them both. Tatsu was pretty cool with those swords. I'd like to see them stick around at least till the end of the season and, play out more, which I'm sure will happen. But, yeah, it's great. Oliver's coming back. No Lazarus Pit. That was a surprise. Everyone was thinking, ooh, Lazarus Pit time when Oliver died, but no such luck. Maybe they're saving that for Sarah's resurrection? Fingers crossed. Yeah, but overall, yeah, it was a good episode. Let's see. Talked about Malcolm and Thea and creepy Ray Palmer was, still seems less creepy. Yeah, I don't know about this guy. I mean, Brandon Routh, he's a good actor. You can just tell he's having a ball playing Ray Palmer, and he was really enjoying it. But if they keep playing him like a hero, I know the Atom is canonically in the comics a hero, and Ray Palmer's a hero, whatever else. But the way that they're writing, maybe it's all unintentional, they don't really realize it, but the way I feel like it's being played is like, there's just something off about the guy. I've never liked him. I thought he was, kind of manipulative of Felicity, and I thought he crossed professional lines that he shouldn't have, which should have been a bit of a warning sign. But, I guess maybe he's going to be a hero, I don't know, but I still holding out a torch that maybe he's going to wind up being a villain or an anti-hero or something. I'm just not totally on board with this guy. I'm not sure what I think about him or, how I feel about all this. And it looks like Felicity and him are moving forward together. She's helping him out. So and he confessed his feelings for her finally after, that whole thing where he was like, oh, flirt, cross line. I'm pulling back. I shouldn't have crossed this line. Now he is saying how he feels about her, and I guess maybe they're going to try. I don't know. Oliver's coming back next week, so we'll see how that plays out. I mean, I guess Felicity has committed to sticking with the Arrow team because this is her city. It's under attack, whether Oliver's here or not. But when Oliver comes back, I wonder how that will change. I wonder if maybe she might say, well, they'll just be so emotional over his coming back, be like, I can't watch you die again. I can't do this. Or at least, stay helping with the Arrow team, but pull back a little bit and not spend so much time around. We'll see how it all plays out. There are lots of different ways that, that whole dynamic could go. So I guess trying to predict is a little, I don't know, is just really a waste of time. We'll see how that turns out, but I'm excited for Oliver's return next week. I really am. And once again, what is the point? I said this last week too. What is the point of Brick raiding the Glades? What is the point of getting all the police out of the Glades? Crime will go up if all the police leave the Glades. It'll be like the Purge anarchy kind of. And, I don't know, if you're the guy controlling the chaos, maybe that would be something, but that's the thing that if you destroy your own neighborhood, you destroy your own neighborhood. If stores get looted, you don't have stores to go to anymore. If homes get burned down and places get burned down and places get robbed, then no one has any money and no one, can do anything. You just, how do you profit off of the destruction of, a district? I guess, again, like I said last week, if you have control of, the housing and building projects, you probably make money and, or insurance. But that's a businessman thing. That's not a, terrorist thing. I don't know. Maybe he just gets off on having the power to do those things, but I just don't understand. And maybe we'll find out next week. I don't know what how he could profit off of, having control of the Glades like that, or the Purge. Because it's one thing. It's one thing if everyone's staying at home. I just feel like there'd be so much rioting, and with the police gone, if the police, just up and leave a city, they're basically like abandoning everyone in the district. There would be so much protesting, so much rioting, so much anger at the police and the government of the city, everything. I can't imagine how you could take control of that in like an entire district like that with so much chaos and anger and, crime going on. Ugh, well, I guess we'll see next week, but I still don't get it. And Brick, and they still haven't explained how come Brick is bulletproof. Arrows penetrate him, but not bullets. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. It annoyed me a little bit how, like, Laurel was going to quit. I mean, it's more positive as I am about the storyline. It really annoyed me. Like, Laurel saw one person die and she was ready to hang up the coat. Like, what? Like Oliver told her, you think this is a game? Like one person died. What did you think was gonna happen if you went out and fought crime? Like, a lot of people die during these missions. That drove me nuts. But I liked, to get back a little bit to Laurel and Felicity's storylines. I liked Felicity going to Laurel and working with them, or them having a moment, because they never interact. And there was that really funny, "Are we favor friends?" Phone call a few weeks back in that, back a few months ago. But that's really it. Yeah. So it was nice to see them having a moment. And like I've said before, one thing that these shows really do lack are nice, like, they have these great female characters, but I don't often seeing them interact or having real friendships. There aren't really any good female friendships on this show, which is a shame. So, I don't know, maybe with Laurel joining the team, that she and Felicity will strike up a friendship, because I think Felicity, at least, really does need a nice, female friendship, a nice, girl that she can talk to about things, because she's surrounded by guys all the time. So that'd be nice if those two struck up a friendship. Yeah. I don't know. Again, okay, Brick, like, saying, well, I know the addresses of all these different city council members and I'll hurt them. Like, okay, put all those call in the National Guard, get all those people under, like, police protection. Like, all he really has is, like, a group of thugs who could run around and, with shoot people or whatever. Like, all they have are a couple of guys with guns. Like, bring in, and I don't really like the whole gun, escalate, boom, boom, whatever. But, like, bring in the National Guard and a few federal agents and, bump the police force and, put some police protection around, city people. Eventually, all these, eventually, like, all of these, criminals who come after all these, city officers, they'll, get shut down, and they'll, you can, if you're all this guy really has is numbers and guns, and, government has more numbers and guns. I just don't really see how he could win overall, like, this whole plot line. I know they're trying to bring the Glades in more. I know, they're trying to give Roy more to do, and, fix that whole mistake where they were doing anything with the Glades or Roy for a long time. But this whole plan just does not make a lot of sense. Well, it'll be it was supposed to be these last few episodes. It was supposed to be a trilogy about Brick, and next week will be the finale. And maybe we'll see how that all. Maybe it somehow ties into the greater storyline of the season. Who knows? We'll see how that plays out next week. But overall, it was a good episode. It was a very good episode. I enjoyed it. I'm much more on board with the Canary now than I was. Oh my gosh, I forgot. Oh, poor Detective Lance. I don't know how they're going to keep pulling that off. Like, how could Laurel emotionally handle pretending to be Sarah? Oh, that was so sad. It broke my heart. Oh, he was like, "Oh, come get Chinese with me and then talk to me. Like, why are you calling me?" He was like, "Oh, my heart." I feel so bad for Detective Lance. It's gonna just I will be like drowning in tears when he finds out what happened to Sarah. I don't even know how they're going to have that happen. They've dragged the secret out for so long. There is no way that there's not going to be a huge rift between Laurel and Detective Lance when they find Captain Officer Detective Lance when he finds out what happened. That's going to have some huge repercussions for their relationship. I can tell. That was really sad. So, yeah. That was really sad. I'm really sad now. Yeah, but overall a good episode. Really good. I'm excited for Oliver to come back next episode, but I do like the things that they've done with the Regs to the ensemble in his absence. So, yeah, well, I will see you next week. If you have any comments, any questions, anything you want me to talk about. On a side note, it's not really my territory anymore, but I really enjoyed The Flash this week. I really like the Pied Piper. I think he's probably my favorite of the Rogues Gallery so far. Good episode. Another good episode. Another good week for the DC Universe on the CW. Well, I will see you next week. Enjoy, comment, subscribe, do whatever. If you have anything else you want me to talk about, feel free to ask. And I will see you next week.